You ever noticed, I guess you could say you have to really evaluate yourself and say, are you an introvert or are you an outrovert? An introvert being people who really thrive and who are more comfortable by being by themselves or in a small group of people, or an outrovert, which is somebody who really does the best when they're in a large group of people or people they don't know. Now, I have a scenario in head that I really want you to think about. Let's say you're going to a get together. There's 10 people in front of you. 3 of them are your friends, 2 of them you kind of know, and 5 of them you have no clue who they are. Well, what's the first thing you do? I mean, and really, that's a good way to really figure out. If you put yourself in that situation, regardless of who it is, you make the faces of the people, you make the friends, and you make the acquaintances. You put their faces in there and you say, okay, what would I do in this scenario? And what you do really defines, are you an introvert or an outrovert? You know, you can take 2 different aspects and say, oh, well, maybe I'd go talk to the people I don't know first. But, I mean, like, I'll give you my example. Is if it was for me, I would go up to my friends and I would be like, hey, what's going on, you know? This is a nice party you're having, you know. I would shoot the shit with them for a few minutes because, I mean, in my opinion, it's rude not to address your friends first. I mean, you know, they're your friends. So, I mean, that would be what I would do. But then after that, I would kind of move to the people who I don't know. And I've had this really long period, I guess you can say, where I was so closed off that I didn't really like knowing people, because I said to myself, oh, it's a party, it's full of people I don't know, why do I want to go to that? Well, I still have that mindset to this day, but it's not as bad because I went to a party, I don't know, like some couple months ago, and it was my friend and about 2 other people I knew there, and then there was about 5, 6, 7, it was a small get-together party, and about 6 or 7 people who I didn't know. And so I did what I did, what I just said in that example. So I went up to my friends, I was like, hey, you know, thanks for inviting me to party, blah, blah, blah. And then I went to the other people and I just started introducing myself, and it was really weird because that was the moment I kind of realized that I'm out of my shell. I mean, when I was a kid, you know, I was really closed off. I just didn't want to talk to anybody because, you know, the fondest memory I have about being a kid is that because I wasn't allowed to play video games, watch television, anything electronic other than radio, I would lay on my bed and I would either listen to the radio, or I'd write poems, or I'd play with my Legos, or I would like draw. And that really breeded me to be an introvert, when in reality, like all my life I was basically an outrovert. I sit there and I say, how can I be the life of the party without seeming like a jackass? Because, I mean, growing up like that as a kid, it doesn't mean it's completely gone. It just means that it's a refined attribute, I guess you could say. I mean, and I really wonder what people think about themselves is when they go to, you know, the freaking party, or if they try to stay by themselves. What are they saying? You know, hey, am I not gonna go to seek out other friends? Or maybe these people don't want to know me, or maybe it's like I prefer to strengthen the bonds with the friends that I have right now. It's a pretty interesting thought process if you think about it. And I like being an introvert, but I mean, after you've only have about 5 to 10 people who you sit there and say, you know, that's really the only people I'm going to hang out with, you get to that point where it's like, well, I can't stay like this forever. I want to break out of my shell. I mean, what happens if I move for a job? I'm going to have to meet new people. And doing that by itself is a scary thought. I mean, but it happens. You got to do it every once in a while. So, and it was a really interesting thing. I was just listening to Let Your Google Hangout from Scott Kim Martin. And for those of you who don't know, he does a podcast today is Wednesday, so every Wednesday. And one of the guys he had on there was Dante. Dante has a YouTube channel. It's Swoozy06. I just figured out about this guy about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, and I gotta say, this guy's a huge inspiration for me, because he's one of these people where he grew up being an outrovert. You know, just he was very out there, very open, and a lot of crazy things just happened to him. And one of the lines he said is you can go and get money, beer, and whatever. You can get more of that at any time, but you can't get your time back. And it's one of the things that's weird is because being an introvert, I don't classify myself as an outrovert, is that when you have that kind of aspect about you where you reach out to other people, it's kind of like being a dominant and recessive gene. Is that, you're being an outrovert, you sit there and you want to reach out to the introvert and say, hey, come join us. Whereas sometimes the introverts are, maybe more smart, or maybe they're smarter than you, or maybe they prefer like that, or maybe they can only work by doing that. They can't work with teams, and it's a really fun thinking process, I guess you could say, because evaluate yourself and say, hey, am I an introvert or am I an outrovert? Take that few minutes to really decide it, and then on top of that, talk to your friends about it. Like, tell them, like, hey, do you ever notice if I'm secluded, or if, like, I try to step back when we're talking to people we don't know, or, have you noticed things? Because, I mean, I can't really vouch for this because I'm still kind of discovering myself, is that, if you find that people know, if you trust them, they know things about you that sometimes you may not know. And I know it's a weird categorization of yourself, but I never sit there and say to myself, oh, I know how Matt is better than he is, because I have no clue. It might just be me. It might just be his personalities that I say there. Matt's my best friend. I never say to myself, is like, I know what Matt's like because I know what he's thinking, when in reality it's like, I have no fucking clue what's going on in there. And that's more because we're introverts when we're hanging out, is because we stay between just us, and we're really reluctant to reach out, except for when I'm in my crazy outrovert mode. I sit there and I yell at everybody. I'm like, hey, why don't you tell us your opinion on this, or fuck you, and it's really fun. I like it. It's a great personality for me to have that kind of, I guess you could say, motivational factor to really reach out to other people. However, it can get bad sometimes. So take the few minutes, evaluate yourself, and really decide, are you an introvert or are you an outrovert? And once again, I have my Skype open, Balin911. So if you ever feel you want to talk about these things, or if you want to chime in with your own 2 cents, or maybe you just want to confide in me with a story, or you feel like, hey, I know Kyle, which is my name. I think I know Kyle enough to say, hey, maybe I can be a little bit more personal with him and chat, like, not like we're like best of best friends, but at least we're friends, and that's what I want to be, guys. Is I want to be able to guy who, like I said in the last video, was I want to be the guy you can just come and talk to with your problems. Is that I'm not gonna sit here and solve your problems. I'm just gonna listen to you and be that outlet, that person who can sit there and just take all the crap that you have to dish out at somebody. But thank you for listening, guys, and once again, it's a late night commentary. I know it's kind of subtle and boring, keeping my voice down, but I'll really come to explain that one day, so people truly understand it.